Hi everyone, my name is Ada, and today I'll be talking about what it's like to go to Northeastern University. I'm currently a senior, so that means that I'm about to graduate. Yippee! So I'm about to graduate next year, which is a little frightening, a little scary, and a little stressful, but I just wanted to do a quick little video to talk about my experience at Northeastern, what I'd like to really just convey to other people that are thinking about going to Northeastern, since Northeastern was my dream school and still is my dream school. I ED'd there and I got accepted, and I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a basis of what my thoughts and opinions on my 3 years thus far have been. Now moving on, why I chose Northeastern University. So first, I chose Northeastern because I really wanted a city life for my college experience. As someone who is from Colorado, I am both landlocked and have no city life. So I really wanted to pick a city that I really loved and it had a lot to do, whether that's food, hanging out, or exploring. So when I was choosing where I would want to attend university, I really focused on where I would want to live potentially in the future and to have an enjoyable college experience. I think Boston is the perfect place for college students to live, especially because there's so many of us in Boston. Boston is definitely a college town, so you are surrounded in basically a sea of students. I'm pretty sure that Boston is just flooded with students since the majority of the population is students. First thoughts of Boston was how beautiful it was. I really liked the historic ambiance it had. I also really liked the academic vibes it gave off, and I really enjoyed just the scenery and the ocean and the fact that it was a very nice college town. There are tons of things to do, tons of things to eat. Everything about Boston is just really nice, and it's a smaller version of New York City where you don't have to be so much centered in a hectic and sometimes overstimulating city. Instead, I feel that Boston is more comfortable in terms of life and living there. I think it gives off both the city vibe and a casual suburban vibe. Another part about Northeastern that I really enjoyed and appreciated was the endless flexibility and possibilities. Northeastern provides a lot of things for students, such as co-op, study abroad, dialogue of civilization. I think it gives you a lot of opportunities to really just be yourself and do things that you want to do. Even combining majors is a great opportunity for students to be able to mix and match and basically have less work but also have 2 different majors, which I think is really cool. I think Northeastern really prides itself in students being able to explore their identity and who they want to become over the years. Overall, the vibes of Northeastern was top tier. When I was a senior in high school, I did not know what I wanted to do. I did not know what I wanted to be. I didn't have a concrete plan in mind of where I wanted to go. All I knew is I wanted to get out of Colorado. So when I toured with my parents to Northeastern, I was really able to gain a good sense of what the overall vibes of Northeastern was. Through being able to tour it, it gave me a good perspective on the campus, the people, the location. Next, co-op. Now, co-op does deserve the hype. I'm telling you that co-op is just really one of the best parts about Northeastern. Because Northeastern is a school that is more focused on your career success and finding a full-time job after graduation, I think that makes co-op even more valuable because you do get the work experience. You get 6 months where you are not in school, you are on a 9-to-5 job, you are really learning all about your job, being on a team, contributing to day-to-day tasks. I think co-op is so worth it. And you get paid, which I think is a double whammy, right? I am not joking. Co-op is one of the reasons why I chose Northeastern University, and I think that's probably the #1 reason why most people choose Northeastern, or maybe is in the following list of reasons why they chose Northeastern, but it definitely deserves the hype. I think that it is actually worth it because of the fact that you get 6 months of experience and paid experience, which I think is a little more rare. It really is a great time to be able to develop your career, your ambitions, what you want to do in the future. It really gives you a lot of flexibility and really sharpens you more as a person. You also develop a lot of skills in co-op, such as hard skills like Excel or certain data management like Oracle, Appian, Salesforce, Snowflake, or even soft skills like public speaking. A lot of people do more like end of the co-op presentations. Northeastern also has a lot of partnerships with companies within Boston, such as Wayfair, New Balance, Bain Capital, all these companies, and BCG. All these companies are based in Boston, so I think it gives it a better competitive edge because a lot of the people that work doing a co-op also may get return offers or referrals. And I think just like the networking opportunities of a co-op in Boston when you are a student in Boston, I think gives you a better competitive advantage over your peers perhaps. Co-op also doesn't have to be in Boston. It can be in another city such as Chicago, San Francisco, New York City, which is what I did. Or it can also be global. I know a friend that did a co-op in Malaysia. Personally, I did my internship in New York City at Blackstone. I think this really gives you a good opportunity to go out of your comfort zone. So I originally was going to stay in Boston, but I had the opportunity to go to New York City, and Northeastern has a lot of resources on housing and living in New York City. I know a lot of people have impressive co-ops. My peers and my friends specifically have had co-ops at BCG, PwC, Deloitte. I think it is a little bit of a bonding experience because, finding a co-op can be stressful. It is similar, it's like a simulation almost of what it's like to apply in real life in terms of like the platform. So Northeastern uses NUWorks, which is kind of similar to LinkedIn, where companies will post their listing, basically their job listing, and then students will apply. And the good thing about co-op, especially at Northeastern, is you're only competing against Northeastern students, which means you're only competing against your peers instead of the rest. Continuing on, the campus at Northeastern is one of the best campuses I have ever toured and visited. The cherry blossom trees that bloom in spring are one of the most fantastic parts about the campus. It is surrounded by nature. It has a bunch of trees, flowers. It has a koi pond. It has the ISEC bridge. It has very unique buildings, very historic old buildings, as well as new buildings like ISEC and EXP. It definitely gives you a lot of variety in terms of a real campus. The Northeastern campus is kind of sectioned off in the middle based off of where the T stop is, which is the green line. I think that the green line is really helpful because it connects to a bunch of other lines. So on one side of it is the gym and most of the freshman dorms, and then on the other side it is most of the academic buildings, and then even then you have the Ruggles line, which is the orange line that runs through basically where Ivy is. I think Northeastern's campus is really great because it is very walkable to downtown, or closer to the Prudential Center, which is a very bustling area, and it is next to Newbury Street. You can also go through the fens, which gets you closer to BU's campus. They have tons of amazing food over by BU. You could also go across the river all the way to Cambridge. They also have a bunch of great food spots and great activities to do. So there are tons of classes at Northeastern, and they have a very diverse and flexible course catalog, I think you can do a lot of what you would want to do. It gives you a lot of availability in terms of picking what you want to do. There's a ton of electives, a ton of NU Pass, which are, the required classes that Northeastern makes you do, basically electives. I think what's great about Northeastern's classes is the fact that even though they have the core classes, which are very essential to your degree, they also have very niche and maybe more refined classes that you can take as well. I think they have a good variety between fun and academic, or even a in-between of both. I have done journalism, I did intro to linguistics, I have done a ton of different kinds of electives that Northeastern has offered. So I think in terms of classes, it's definitely easy to pick something that you want to do and what you like. Now, course selection is a whole another beast of its own, but the bright side is that Northeastern has a lot of course offerings, both fall, spring, and summer 1 and summer 2. So there's a lot of variety in terms of when you can take the class, or if you want to do it online or not. A lot of people tend to take classes that they don't really want to do in the summer, such as finance classes, or math classes, I think is also a popular one. If you ever looked through the Northeastern catalog, which I encourage you to do if you want to, or if you're thinking of going to Northeastern, I think you should take some time to look through the classes and the course descriptions and see if that is maybe something you would want to do. A lot of times the classes get filled up pretty fast, especially the main classes that you need for your degree, but there should be a lot of options in which you can take other classes in the meantime and then do the classes that you couldn't do later in your third or final year, which is not optimal, but sometimes life is not perfect. On average, I believe that most of the classes are around 20 to 30 students, and then the more niche classes are usually 20 or under, and then obviously the big classes that everyone needs for their degree are probably 50 and more. Some classes like Intro to Macroeconomics, Micro, or etc. have lecture hall styled courses where there's 100 or more than 100 students in that class. I think in terms of classes, I really enjoy the ones that I've taken for my degree. Classes also don't have to only be in Boston. A lot of people might take classes beyond the Boston Central Campus. I know some people that have taken classes in Seattle or London. There's just a ton of flexibility because Northeastern owns a ton of campuses abroad, and they have partnerships with universities that they do study abroad or Dialogue of Civilizations, which I will tell you about later, which is basically summer classes that you take abroad. I think Northeastern is around the medium difficulty. I don't think it usually tends to be too hard. There's definitely those courses that are very hard that everyone in that school has to do. I think what makes academics a little more difficult is just the fact that our semesters are a little shortened because we start very late and then end very early. I think that's partially why when you are going to Northeastern, you kind of cruise through September, and then you realize that you are almost towards midterm season. It's definitely very sudden because you are expecting it, but at the same time, you're not expecting that it's gonna come so soon. I think most people average around a 3.0 from what I've experienced and heard from. I think it's really hard to personally fail and get below a 2.0, which is the standard that you need in order to continue your degree. Moreover, most students have a 3.0 or above and tend to try their best with their GPA because you might or will need your GPA when you apply for co-ops. Some co-ops or even dialogues or study abroads will have a GPA requirement, so most students will try to be around the range of 3.0 to 3.5 in order to really capitalize on being able to explore all the possibilities. Now, combined major is one of the best parts about being at Northeastern because of the fact you can mix and match your own major, which I think is a huge advantage for people that are either confused with what they want to do or want to try multiple things at once. It gives you the availability to do less than what a double major would do, but still have two specific majors. I think most students will have a combined major because of the fact you can do so much with it, and there's a lot of flexibility within having a combined major. You can do econ and business admin or psych and business admin. I think it's very popular to go down this route, and you get to do less of each major but still have enough to make one major in total, if that makes sense. So you take half of business admin and half of econ. You don't have to take as many courses in both of those classes. So for instance, as a international business student and international affairs combined major, I get to do less of the business classes. So I don't have to do calc for business. Doing less work, but also having two diverse portfolios, I think is a really good opportunity for students. Northeastern itself is very easy to change majors, minors, and concentrations. You can test out what you want to do and then leave it behind instantly if that's not what you're vibing with. I think that's one very big advantage that Northeastern has against other universities because of the fact that it is so flexible. You can really go in thinking that you want one thing at Northeastern and then come back with a completely different major, minor, etc. Dialogues of Civilization, aka dialogues, are a great opportunity for students, especially if they want to travel abroad at any point within their college life. You get to spend 1 month in that country. So I spent 1 month in South Korea and I was attending the courses, but I was also abroad. You get to experience culture. So when I was in South Korea, we went to Lotte chemicals. We got to learn about sustainability. I think that we had a lot of group activities, so we did a lot of museum tours. We had an itinerary every day, so we knew exactly what we had to do, but we also had free time. I think it gives you a lot of time to yourself and time to explore, which I think is very huge when you are developing as, you know, a student and as a person in general. Going abroad is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is definitely very much so. If you can do it, you should do it. I definitely highly suggest going abroad because of all the things that you learn when you are in another country. There's just so much that I feel like you benefit from, you know. Speaking of travel, let me talk about study abroad. So I did my study abroad in Paris, France, which was a phenomenal experience. I went to Sciences Po in Paris, France, which is one of the top ranked in the world in terms of political science universities ever. They have a lot of options also to study abroad at different universities, such as Yonsei, which is very, very popular. Sciences Po was not very popular. I think there was only 2 of us, but there is like London School of Economics, there's Oxford. There are very well-known universities that Northeastern partners with. They also expand their catalog. Every semester and every year you will have different dialogues, different study abroad. Next, social life. Your social life at Northeastern will be very different perhaps. I think the majority of people might have the same or a different friend group depending on what kind of person you are. There are tons of opportunities such as freshman orientation, joining a bunch of clubs that we have on campus, going abroad. I think there's different opportunities where you can make different friends and have, you know, either one big friend group or different small friend groups, or even, you know, have more connections one-on-one. Making friends in college can seem very scary, but I think that overall you will learn that it's very easy to make friends, especially in college, because we all have one thing in common. At least being there is one thing. I think that all the opportunities that Northeastern gives you, either going abroad, having a co-op, or even clubs. There's so many clubs on campus. I am currently in a club and I am currently upgraded to co-president. There are a ton of clubs on campus. If you are very career driven, if you want to find people with the same hobby, I think that clubs are a great opportunity personally, because I have done clubs since the very beginning of freshman year. It is definitely a great opportunity to know people, to get to know them either on a personal level or friend level or even acquaintance level. At least you know someone when you walk by them. Either if you don't like them or you like them or you just don't care. I think at least the fact that you have interacted with them a little bit gives you a little bit of a advantage in terms of, you know, if you want to pursue a friendship, if you want to pursue a relationship, if you want to, you know, network with them. I think it gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more opportunities when you put yourself out there. I think it's definitely what you want is what you get. If you want to go party, you will definitely go party. You can find the right crowd for anything that you like and what you want to do. So I think it kind of relies on what you want to do in order to really fulfill what you want your social life to be. It's definitely a self-fulfilling prophecy, perhaps. And I think that it kind of relies on yourself to make friends and to be able to have the social life you want. If you want to do Greek life, if you don't want to do Greek life, if you want to party, if you don't want to party, these are all things that you have to consider in terms of your friend group. I think your friend group will usually change from freshman year to senior year when you kind of narrow it down to the people that you really want to be with and you really enjoy their company. I think it definitely makes life a lot more enjoyable. And even if you realize that, you know, you and this other person don't really mesh, I think it's easy to, you know, go a different route with each other. I mean, it's life. I think for the social life aspect, it is definitely what you want it to be. So if you want to have a ton of friends, you should be prepared and well motivated to do that, you know. And even if you want a more chill life, you can do that. I think there's a lot of opportunities to get to know other people and, you know, make friends, and then from those friends make other friends. Anyways, that is the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, etc. And I will hopefully be seeing you in the next video. Bye!